Irwathan 12-022. Some vacations promise paradise, but end in unimaginable horror. From tropical beaches to remote jungles, here are 5 of the most disturbing times travelers were attacked and eaten alive during what should have been the trip of a lifetime. Under the cover of darkness in the remote wilderness of Daintree National Park, what began as a peaceful night by the sea quickly turned into a nightmare that would shock even seasoned locals. It was around 10:30 p.m. when 46-year-old Cindy Waldron, visiting from New South Wales, walked along the quiet stretch of shoreline at Thornton Beach with her friend. The night was calm, the water inviting, and the surroundings almost deceptively serene. With little hesitation, the 2 women stepped into the shallow surf, wading no deeper than their waists. It seemed harmless, an impulsive swim under a clear night sky in one of Australia's most beautiful coastal regions. But beneath that still surface, something far older and far more dangerous was already watching. Without warning, the calm shattered. A sudden disturbance in the water, just a subtle nudge at first, quickly escalated into chaos. Within seconds, the tranquility gave way to terror as Waldron was violently seized and dragged away. Her friend, only an arm's length away, instinctively lunged to pull her back. She grabbed hold, fighting against an unseen force, but it was no use. The strength beneath the water was overwhelming. In a matter of moments, Waldron was ripped from her grasp and pulled into the darkness. The silence that followed was just as horrifying. Shaken and injured, the surviving woman scrambled out of the water, her body marked with grazes, and her mind reeling from what had just unfolded. She ran desperately toward a nearby property, raising the alarm as panic set in. Emergency services were quickly notified, and within a short time, authorities began mobilizing a response. But deep down, there was already a growing sense of dread. Search efforts began almost immediately. A rescue helicopter swept across the coastline, scanning the dark waters using thermal imaging in hopes of detecting any sign of life. The dense estuarine environment, including areas like Cooper Creek, made the search incredibly difficult. Despite hours of effort through the night, there was no trace of Waldron. As dawn broke, the operation intensified. Police, water patrol units, SES volunteers, and wildlife authorities established a coordinated search effort centered around Thornton Beach. Boats moved through the murky waterways while teams combed the shoreline, fully aware of what they might be facing. This region, stretching from Cairns up through Cape York Peninsula, is notorious for its population of massive saltwater crocodiles. These prehistoric predators dominate the waterways, perfectly adapted to ambush anything that ventures too close. Experts in the area had already reported sightings of a crocodile measuring up to 5 meters in length in recent weeks, a size more than capable of overpowering a human in seconds. Locals were not surprised. To them, this was a grim reminder of a well-known reality. These waters are not safe, especially at night. Visibility drops, instincts dull, and crocodiles gain every possible advantage. They are silent, fast, and brutally efficient hunters. As the search continued throughout the day, the mood among responders grew heavier. With each passing hour, hope faded, replaced by the grim understanding of what had likely occurred. Shoo. What was meant to be a laid-back escape along the tropical coast of Sri Lanka turned into a chilling tragedy that unfolded in a matter of seconds. Another stark reminder that danger often hides in the most unexpected places. 24-year-old Paul McLean had traveled to the country for a holiday, spending time near the famous surf destination of Aragon Bay. Known for its golden beaches, rolling waves, and relaxed atmosphere, the area draws travelers from around the world. It feels like the kind of place where time slows down, where the biggest concern is catching the perfect wave or watching the sunset fade into the horizon. But just beyond that postcard-perfect setting lies a wilder, more unpredictable reality. On the day of the incident, McLean had ventured near a river close to the remote stretch of coastline known as Elephant Rock. The area, though breathtaking, is surrounded by untamed nature, dense vegetation, roaming wildlife, and waterways that are far less innocent than they appear. After what had likely been an ordinary day, He approached the riverbank for something as simple as washing his hands. It was a routine, almost forgettable moment. And then, without warning, everything changed. Witnesses nearby, including local fishermen, noticed the sudden disturbance. What began as a quiet scene quickly erupted into panic. In a flash, a crocodile lunged from the water, seizing McLean and dragging him in with terrifying speed. There was no time to react, no chance to escape. The attack was swift, precise, and devastatingly effective. The fishermen shouted for help, their cries carrying across the area. Nearby surfers who had just finished their session rushed toward the scene. But by the time they arrived, it was already too late. The water had gone still again, concealing whatever lay beneath. There was no visible struggle, no sign of the victim, only the grim realization that he had been pulled under. The search began soon after, but the conditions were far from easy. The river fed into a network of lagoons and murky waterways, making visibility nearly impossible. Hours passed as authorities coordinated efforts to locate him, with the Sri Lankan Navy eventually joining the operation. Later that evening, a body was recovered from a nearby lagoon. For those who knew McLean, the loss was not just tragic, it was deeply personal. A young journalist with a promising future, he had already made a name for himself through sharp insight and relentless dedication. Working with the Financial Times, he had built a reputation as someone capable of uncovering complex stories and presenting them with clarity and precision. His work, particularly on European affairs, had gained recognition far beyond his years. Colleagues described him as energetic, driven, and remarkably talented, someone whose potential seemed limitless. But beyond his professional achievements, he was remembered as warm, humorous, and full of life. His sudden death sent shockwaves through both the journalistic community and those who had shared his final days in Sri Lanka. Friends traveling with him were left to identify his body, a task as heartbreaking as it was unimaginable. What makes this incident particularly unsettling is how ordinary the moment was before it happened. There was no reckless behavior, no deliberate risk-taking, just a brief pause by a river in a place known for its natural beauty. Yet, in regions like this, the line between safe and dangerous is often invisible. Although this was reportedly the first fatal crocodile attack in that specific river, there had been previous encounters. Local fishermen had experienced attacks before, surviving with injuries. The presence of crocodiles was not unknown, it was simply part of the environment, quietly coexisting with human activity until something went wrong. And when it does go wrong, it happens fast. This tragedy stands as a haunting reminder that in many of the world's most stunning travel destinations, nature still operates on its own terms. Beneath the calm waters and scenic landscapes, predators remain ever present, silent, patient, and capable of striking in an instant. What began as another sun-soaked day along the shores of Red Sea quickly turned into a scene of panic and tragedy, one that adds to a growing list of unsettling incidents in one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Near the coastal waters of Marsa Alam, 2 foreign visitors entered the sea, likely expecting nothing more than a routine swim in the region's famously clear, vibrant waters. The Red Sea, known for its stunning coral reefs and rich marine biodiversity, attracts thousands of travelers every year. Divers, snorkelers, and beachgoers drawn to its beauty. But beneath that beauty lies an unpredictable force. Without warning, a shark attack unfolded in deeper waters outside the officially designated swimming zone. The encounter was sudden and violent. Within moments, one of the tourists, a 48-year-old man, was fatally attacked. The second victim, a 69-year-old companion, survived but sustained injuries in the same incident. Both were later identified as Italian nationals, their holiday cut short by an event as shocking as it was devastating. Emergency services quickly responded, transporting the victims to a nearby medical facility in Port Ghalib, a coastal hub not far from the site of the attack. Despite efforts, one life had already been lost, while the other victim faced the aftermath of a terrifying encounter that few survived to describe. In the immediate wake of the attack, authorities took swift action. The affected stretch of coastline was closed to swimmers for 2 days. a precautionary measure aimed at preventing further incidents while investigations were carried out. Officials confirmed that the attack had taken place beyond the safe swimming boundaries, a detail that underscores how quickly conditions can shift from safe to dangerous in open waters. Incidents like this, while still relatively rare, are far from isolated in the Red Sea. In recent years, the region has seen a troubling pattern of shark-related attacks involving tourists. In 2023, a man was killed near the resort city of Hurghada in an attack that was widely circulated due to its graphic nature. Just a year earlier, two separate fatal incidents occurred within days of each other, claiming the lives of European tourists along the same coastline. Even earlier cases include severe injuries, such as the loss of limbs, suffered by swimmers and tour guides alike. These repeated incidents have raised concerns among marine experts and environmental observers. While sharks have always inhabited these waters, changes in human activity are believed to be altering their behavior. Rapid coastal development, overfishing, and unregulated tourism practices may be disrupting the natural balance of the ecosystem, pushing predators closer to areas frequented by humans. The Red Sea is not just a tourist hotspot, it is also a crucial economic lifeline for Egypt. Tourism contributes significantly to the country's income, particularly as it navigates ongoing economic challenges. Resorts like Marsa Alam and Hurghada depend heavily on international visitors, many of whom come specifically for the marine experience. But as these incidents show, that experience carries inherent risks. Just weeks before this latest attack, another tragedy struck nearby waters when a large wave capsized a diving vessel carrying more than 30 tourists. Several lives were lost, further highlighting the unpredictable nature of the sea in this region. Whether from wildlife encounters or natural forces, the risks, though statistically low, can have devastating consequences when they do materialize. For travelers, the lesson is both simple and sobering. The ocean, no matter how calm or inviting it appears, is not a controlled environment. It operates under its own rules, governed by instincts and natural forces that cannot always be predicted or prevented. And sometimes, in just a few seconds, a perfect holiday can turn into something far more haunting. What began as a quiet family holiday in the remote wilderness of Queensland turned into a sudden and devastating tragedy, one that unfolded in mere seconds and left behind a story of both horror and extraordinary sacrifice. 40-year-old Dave Hogbin, a general practitioner from New South Wales, had been enjoying a camping trip with his wife and their 3 young sons. The family had traveled to the rugged region near Cooktown, an area known for its untouched beauty, winding rivers, and the hidden presence of dangerous wildlife. The day had been completely normal. The family was walking along a narrow path overlooking the Anen River, taking in the scenery. The river below appeared calm and unthreatening, its surface giving no indication of what lay beneath. The bank they walked on stood several meters high and seemed stable, just another part of the landscape. Then, without warning, the ground gave way. A section of the riverbank suddenly collapsed beneath Hogbin, sending him plunging into the water below. The fall was abrupt, leaving him struggling in a river known to be inhabited by large saltwater crocodiles. His wife reacted instantly. Sliding down the unstable bank, she reached for him and managed to grab his arm, trying desperately to pull him back up. For a brief moment, it seemed like she might succeed, but the ground beneath her began to shift as well. She started slipping toward the water, losing her footing with every passing second. What happened next was a decision made in the smallest window of time. In doing so, he prevented her from being dragged into the river alongside him. Within moments, he was taken. Authorities later reported that a large crocodile, estimated to be nearly 5 meters long, was responsible for the attack. Human remains were later found inside the animal, believed to be his, though formal identification was still pending at the time. The attack was swift and overwhelming, leaving little chance for survival once he entered the water. For his family, the loss was devastating, but so was the meaning behind his final act. His wife later described how everything changed in less than 30 seconds. One moment, they were enjoying a routine day of their holiday. The next, they were caught in a situation no one could have predicted. There had been no reckless behavior, no unnecessary risk, just an ordinary walk that turned tragic in an instant. Even in that moment, his instinct was not to save himself, but to protect his family. Those who knew him described him as a devoted father, loyal, protective, and deeply committed to the people he loved. These predators often remain completely unseen, capable of striking with incredible speed. What makes this incident especially unsettling is how suddenly it happened. There were no warning signs, no clear danger, just a collapse of ground and a predator waiting below. In the end, this was more than a tragic accident. It was a powerful reminder of how unpredictable nature can be, and how, in a single moment, an ordinary day can turn into something unforgettable. Suo Xuanmo. What looks like a tropical paradise can sometimes hide something far more dangerous beneath the surface. The island of La Réunion is famous for its clear blue water and stunning beaches, but in recent years it has gained a much darker reputation. So many shark attacks have happened here that swimming and surfing are now heavily restricted in certain areas. Locals even have a name for the surrounding waters: Shark Highway. One of the most heartbreaking incidents involved a 13-year-old surfer named Elio Canestri. He wasn't just any beginner. He was considered one of the island's most promising young talents, training seriously with hopes of becoming a champion. On the morning of the attack, he was taking part in an official coaching session at a surf spot called Les Aigrettes. It was supposed to be a normal training day. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. Just before 9 a.m., while Elio was in the water, a shark suddenly attacked. It struck fast and with devastating force, injuring multiple parts of his body. A nearby boat rushed to help and pulled him from the water, but his injuries were too severe. Despite efforts to save him, he didn't survive. The shock spread instantly across the island. Beaches along the west coast were immediately closed, and warning flags were raised. Boats were sent out to try and locate the shark. But for many people, this wasn't just another tragic incident. It was a breaking point. La Réunion has been dealing with shark attacks for years. Since 2011, there have been multiple attacks, many of them fatal. Each one has added to the fear surrounding the island's waters. Just weeks before Elio's death, another young person had been killed while swimming. These repeated incidents have changed how both locals and tourists see the ocean. Surfing, once a huge part of life on the island, has been heavily restricted. At one point, authorities even banned it completely. Later, they tried to bring it back in a controlled way, allowing only supervised sessions with safety teams nearby. These sessions were supposed to include divers watching for sharks, ready to act if something went wrong. But on the day Elio was attacked, those protections weren't in place. That detail made the tragedy even harder to accept. For the surfing community, this loss hit deeply. Elio wasn't just a young boy. He represented hope for the future. His death left many people feeling angry, helpless, and frustrated. They had already been living with fear, but this incident made it feel like nowhere was truly safe. The impact goes beyond just the local community. Tourism, which the island depends on, has also been affected. Visitors come for the beauty of the ocean, but the growing number of attacks has made many think twice. A place once known for relaxation and adventure is now also known for risk. What makes this story so unsettling is how quickly everything happened. One moment, it was a regular training session. The next, it became a tragedy that shook an entire island. Elio was young, talented, and doing something he loved. His story is a reminder that even in the most beautiful places, danger can appear without warning. And sometimes, it only takes a few seconds for everything to change.